Every beginner has terms that they may not know in the photography world. I'm going to try and just make it easy and go over some of those terms. If there's some terms that I may have missed, go ahead and leave that in the comment down below. But if you have any questions, let's just go through it. RAW files. Every camera brand has their own little extension on the end describing what the RAW files are. It's basically just the negative that you would get in the film camera versus the print that they would hand you at the film store. The RAW file or the negative just gives you more range of things that you can do after in editing. This is a RAW file. This is a JPEG. They look similar, but the JPEG is just the print of the RAW. The RAW, you can edit more things and adjust brightnesses, contrast, and other things just like you could do with RAW. It just gives you more. This is the base of all photography. It's highly debated. The light meter. The little dots, dashes, and lines at the bottom of your camera that tells you what the exposure of your camera is. The 0 means everything is in proper exposure. One side or the other means it's going to be brighter or darker, depending on how your camera is set up. Stops. On the light meter, it kind of looks like a little tape measure. So you have little dots and then the hard line. That little hard line is a stop. So you can do 1, 2, 3, 4 stops. And that also describes in flash and other things as well. So if you hear them say go up 1 stop, you're just increasing the exposure 1 stop. The shutter, it's this little button. That's pretty much it. It controls the curtain that goes over your sensor. Exposure, it just refers to how long you're exposing the sensor inside your camera. A longer exposure normally means a brighter photo. A faster one normally means a darker photo. ISO, it's just brighter or darker again, but the drawback is the higher the ISO, the more noise. Aperture or f-stop, the little guy inside of the lens that opens and closes to give you either more or less light or give you more or less depth of field. The exposure triangle, a little triangle that gives you all of these settings that I just explained in a perfect little harmony so you can get the perfect little shot. If you study the exposure triangle, you should be able to get any shot in a good light. Bokeh. Whenever you're shooting with a small f-stop, that opens up the lens and it gets a lot of depth of field, so you have a sharp plane of focus with everything else that's blurry behind it, and the little balls are called bokeh. White balance. Just like when you have lighting at your house, there's temperature ranges for every camera. The temperature range can go from blue to orange, but you can get it perfect just by clicking on a neutral area. Color cast. Whenever an outside influence of color cast onto your scene that you may not want. So if you have yellow lights casting onto a sheet or something like that, but then you have blue outside, that's called color cast. So the daylight is casting inside, but the lights are orange. So you have color cast in both directions. Banding. It's just these little bands of color that sometimes happen whenever you adjust an image. Motion blur. Whenever your shutter speed just isn't fast enough to capture the action, you'll have blur. Panning. It's whenever you use the motion blur to your advantage and you pan with the action that freezes that one object but causes everything else to be blurry. DOF, or depth of field. On your camera sensor and in your camera, you have it set to a wide open aperture at like f2.8. So you're going to have one sharp spot and everything else behind it is going to be out of focus. The depth of field is going to be that plane of focus where it's sharp and then everything else is out of focus. Focus stacking. Most of the time this refers to a macro object being stacked or a focus stack in a macro environment. Whenever you stack hundreds, if not thousands, of focal planes of depth of fields, then you can run it into a program, Helicon Focus or Photoshop, where you can put all of them together into one single object. Or if you were to do this just in the real world without doing it in macro, it's taking shots of a whole bunch of different objects at different focal lengths and then putting it together into one final photo. Ghosting. No, it's not where some photographer just leaves you. Whenever you do focus stacking or some type of bracketing, you may have a ghosting effect wherever you've combined the images and they overlap, but there may be some kind of movement. So one is going to create a transparent little overlap, causing it to look like a ghost of the other object. Hyperfocal distances. Yeah, it's a weird one. Whenever your lens is wide enough, your focal distance doesn't really matter after a certain f-stop anymore. So if you looked at this image at f16 versus this image at f4, they look like they're in the same amount of focus, it's because the focal distance on this particular lens is only 5 feet. Everything past that is going to be in focus regardless of what f-stop you're in. Pixel peeping. It's whenever you zoom in to the pixel level of every single image that you have so you can study it and get to know every single little detail. Sometimes this can refer to as, oh, they pixel peeped and found all the mistakes in this image. So if you looked at this image at the pixel level, that this is in focus, and then this one, and you pixel peeped at this one and noticed that it's out of focus, this is actually motion blur because it was a longer open shutter that caused me to move during the scene. In pixel peeping, you would find that out, but the overall scene looks great. Dynamic range. It's basically just how much light information and dark information you have inside the RAW or the JPEG image that you can make it go either way to bring it back or turn it down as far as brightness goes to bring back an image. So if we were to just turn down the highlights on this one and turn up the shadows, you can bring the image back to how it looked on the day. Bracketing. Most of the time referred to as a 3:2 or a 5:2 bracket. Whenever you exposure bracket something, you're just taking pictures at different exposures or stops to get a different range so you could then put those pictures into a program later, combine them all, and get all of that dynamic range that you wouldn't be able to just from your normal camera sensor. High dynamic range. This is a combined image of the last 5 images taken 2 stops apart, so I can get all of the light information and the dark information, and to be able to turn the highlights and the shadows up even more and control more of the image that you wouldn't be able to in a normal dynamic range picture just taken at the 0 line or the 0 stop on your camera inside the light meter. A vignette. A vignette is just the outside perimeter of the image, either going positive vignette or negative vignette to bring focus or to make it look like a special effect is happening on the image. So if we do a positive vignette, it's going to turn the outside edges white. A negative vignette is going to turn the outside edges black. Most of the time you see in landscape or portraits a negative vignette that's going to bring the focus to the center of the frame and onto your subject. Shadow recovery or highlight recovery, depending on which way you shot the photo, is basically just moving the highlights one direction or the shadows in one direction to recover it or make it more visible in the photo. So in this case, we're going to do a shadow recovery to bring back the dark side to the light. But as you can tell in the highlight section, it can't go down all the way because shadow recovery has more information than the highlights. Blown out or clipping. This is basically just where you blow out the background or make the background really white so you can have the subject the correct exposure. Cropping. If you were to crop something, you're basically just reframing it or making it to where you can crop in or zoom into a frame and print just one single part or crop somebody out of it. Sometimes people say, oh, can you just crop that out? That means just cropping out parts of the image and moving it to another spot so you don't see the distractions on the edges. Sensor size. Sometimes the words can be confusing, so let's go over it real quick. Medium format, full frame, APS-C, micro four thirds, 1 inch, 1/2.5. There's more, but this is just the basics. So if you look at the full frame or 35mm blue outline, that's how big a normal sensor is in a film camera, and that's what they transferred over to the full frame digital. They do get pretty big, so there's different sizes. Just wanted to go over that. Tethering. You're just connecting a camera to a computer, laptop, or iPad so you can work directly from the image, or you can show clients the actual image they just took. Culling. It's where you take all of your images from a set that you just did and cull it down to the very best ones. So if you took 2,500 images at a wedding and you culled it to 800, that means you just took the 800 very best ones of those 2,500, and then you're going to work on those in individual little sets and edit those for the client. It can work for small or big things. So if you cull images down from like 30 to 10 in a mini session, that's still the same thing, culling images. Chromatic aberration. Most of the time this only happens when you have a lower end lens, but it's still annoying whenever it does happen. At the edges of some objects inside the image, you will get some aberrations or ghosting effects that are either pink, purple, or green that you could then edit out later. Moire. Clothing and textures have certain patterns when they're big and small that cause an effect on the camera sensor that makes it go wonky. It happens when you zoom in and out sometimes, and yes, there are sliders that help you remove it, but it's still going to be there no matter what, so it's kind of an annoying thing. Gelling a flash. It's basically just putting some kind of transparent film or a cap that has a different color on the flash or continuous light that's going to make it one way or the other, blue, orange, red, green. It lets you color lights. A snoot. This is a little snoot. It directs light into a little spotlight. This snoot has a little honeycomb on top, which directs it even more, which doesn't allow spill, another term. The spill would go everywhere. The honeycomb directs the spill straight towards your subject or whatever you're pointing it at. A scrim. It really just is a large piece of fabric that diffuses the light, whether it be sun or flash or continuous, that makes a softer effect on whatever you're trying to light. Golden hour. It's actually not an hour. It's not an hour at all. Whenever you're looking at images or trying to plan a photo shoot, this would be direct overhead light. This is sunset, where you would get a lot of dramatic flares and sometimes washed out images. This is golden hour. Right whenever the sun goes below the horizon line and the sunset is at its best, you normally get 10 to 15 minutes of golden hour sunlight where the lighting is perfect and everything looks amazing. Right after golden hour is blue hour. So if you start to see inside your camera that it turned blue, then that means you've missed golden hour and you are now into blue hour. Chimping. Whenever you've just taken a photo and then you look at it really fast. So you're looking and then you're looking. And you're taking a photo and then you're looking. You're looking, so it kind of resembles a chimping. Like, spray and pray. Most of the time referred to in action or some type of setting whenever there's something happening and your photographer is just clicking away and they're not actually looking at anything and they're just taking pictures of stuff kind of willy-nilly, but they're not actually getting one single frame. They're just spraying the field and praying that you're going to get something good. Dodging and burning. They've taken a brush and then they have put it on one of the subjects and either increased or decreased the brightness. If you increase it, that's dodging. If you decrease it, that's burning. This could be a huge topic, but I'm just going to discuss it really quickly. A sync speed is just going to be the speed that can communicate with your flash, most of the time under 200 or 250th of a second. That allows the flash to be completely in the frame without any issues. If you go over the sync speed, you're going to have little black bars where the flash could not keep up with the sync of your camera. High-speed sync. Whenever your camera can communicate with your flashes correctly, on some flashes, you can go past the 200 or 250th of a second mark all the way up to 8 thousandths of a second and get the flash to be without any black bars. Crushing the blacks. Most of the time you hear whenever they edited the photos, I love the way it looked because they crushed the blacks. This is a debated topic on which way it goes, but from the way I see it, whenever you crush the blacks, you're basically taking all of the darkest spots and you're making it even darker. Crushing the blacks. A 5-in-1. It's basically 5 things in one. You may have seen them in small or big things. They come in different sizes, but they all have the same use where you are being able to bounce light, put a diffuse light over it like a scrim, or flag a light where you can take light off of a subject so it's not creating any color cast, or you can even use it as just a small reflector to put below them to catch light in their eye. The histogram. I could do an entire 1 hour on just the histogram, but basically it's just a field of view that you can see inside your camera or on the editing screen where you can see from dark to light where the values of your image fall. Inside most editing programs, it's going to split it into the colors, so like the blue, red, and green values on the histogram may look a little different depending on those colors inside the frame. No, this is not every term out there in the world, but it's the ones that I think that the beginners may get confused on the most. So if there's anything that I missed, go ahead and leave that in the comments down below. If you think I misexplained something, leave that in the comments down below and I may go back over it. But either way, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.